Hello everyone, this is Mr. Hodge again. Welcome to Drumming with Mr. Hodge, lesson 2. Alright, so I'm going to quickly review a few things that we did in lesson 1. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Now remember, when holding the stick, gotta have your fulcrum right. Alright, if you hear some terms that I use that you don't understand what they are, go back and rewatch lesson 1. All right, so back to our fulcrum. Remember, thumbs are on, hand mouths are closed, making the letter A or mountaintop, bringing it down to your pad, aka the hot stove. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and review that first easy warm up I taught you, where we're playing 4 notes on the right, 4 notes on the left, and 4 notes with both sticks, and then going back to the right, left, both, over and over. All right. Also, I want you to count with me out loud and play at the same time. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2. Now switch to your left hand. Left, 2, 3, 4. Then both. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to your right. 2, 3, 4. Left, 2, 3, 4. Then both. Back to your right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Both. 1, 2, 3. And stop right here. Okay? Now, a few reminders. Number 1, remember, we're getting off the hot stove, and after you stroke, you should end up straight up right now. Okay? Now, I told you in lesson 1 I was going to tell you why we're doing that. That's called a rebound stroke. A rebound stroke. All right? Rebound stroke is when you come straight up, just like that. All right. Soon we're going to go over regular strokes where we just end up above the hot stove, the pad. Okay. So keep making sure that you get that rebound stroke. And remember, the stick that you are not playing with at the moment should be hovering right above, not up here like this while the other hand plays. No, this is how you should not do it. Don't have one stick up or off to the side like that. Okay. Another thing that we need to talk about real quick. If you look at my sticks, I'm making the mountaintop, okay? One thing that you really have to concentrate on is making sure that your mountaintop is not too skinny like this, okay? If I see some of my students with their sticks like this, I say, open your doors, okay? What I mean by that, if you've ever seen the big doors like on a barn, they open out like this, okay? Barn doors open up outward like that. So if I say open your doors, that means you need to make your mountaintop a little bigger like this. Okay, that's what you want. This is too small. Now the opposite of that is if I say close your doors. If I say close your doors, that means you have your sticks too wide out. Okay, you want to bring them right back down to here. All right. Make sure you keep that formation, even when you play. Do not make that mountain too big or too little. All right, keep your doors just like that. Okay, cool. Also, make sure your shoulders are relaxed. I don't want you playing all stiff like a robot. All right. Now, one more thing I want to make sure you understand that I say a lot with my students is you don't want to have T-Rex arms when you play. When I say T-Rex arms, you know, if you look at a T-Rex, you have the little arms. And they're like this, okay? You want to make sure that when you're playing, your wrist is not bent like this, all right? I call those the T-Rex arms. You don't want that. Have your wrist flat, going straight with your arms, then you play. And another thing, remember, the only part of the stick that should be hitting your pad is the tip. None of this part should be hitting at the moment, okay? So, just like that. Keeping your mountain, keeping your wrist flat, no T-Rex arms, all right? So we're gonna go ahead and practice this a few times, same warm-up, but we're gonna go ahead and try to add a little tempo. I told you about that word last class, metronome, a device that helps you stay in tempo. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn my speaker on. And we're gonna go ahead and start. We're gonna do it about 3 times each, adding 5 beats per minute on every time. So we're going to start off at 65. All right. Now remember, when you play, you have to stay with this beat. Don't speed up and don't slow down. Not speed down, you can't speed down. All right, so let's go ahead and get ready to start. Wait for me to say go. All right, and stay together. 1, 2, ready, here we go. Right, 2, 3, 4, left hand, left. 2, 3, 4, both. 1, 2, 3, back to your right. Right, then your left, left, and don't forget to count. 3, 4, then both. 1, 2, 3, back to your right. Right, 2, 3, 4, to your left. 1, 2, 3, 4, then both. And stop right here. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead up to 70 beats per minute. 70, okay? Slightly faster, a little bit faster, okay? 1, 2, play with me, right hand. Right, 2, 3, 4, left, left. 2, 3, 4, both. 1, 2, 3, 4, right. 1, 2, 3, 4, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, both. Let's do it one more time. 3, 4, right. 1, 2, 3, 4, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, both. Last time. Ready and stop. Okay. Now let me teach you how to stop. I want you to end for right now. When I say ready and stop, that last stroke should be with the right hand, and then that's it. Okay. Cool. Let's speed it up a little bit more. 75. Slightly faster. Stay together. All right. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Right, 2, 3, 4, left. 1, 2, don't forget to count. Both. 1, 2, 3, 4, right. 1, 2, 3, 4, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, both. 1, 2, 3, one more. Right, 3, 4, left. 1, and remember, keep the stick that's not playing covering both. 1, 2, 3, 4, and stop. All right, not bad. Make sure you have all your form things right. Hand, mouth closed, wrist flat, no T-Rex arms, keeping your doors just right, making a mountaintop, making sure your tips aren't touching. You got to keep that in mind at all times. All right, let's keep going. Let's add 5 more, 80 beats per minute. Okay, here we go. Here's the tempo. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Right, 2, 3, don't forget to count out loud. Left, 2, 3, 4, both. 2, 3, 4, right. 1, 2, 3, 4, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, both. 2, one more on the right. Right, 2, 3, 4, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, both. 2, ready, and stop on the right. Okay. Not bad, not bad. Cool. All right, so we're not going to go any faster than 80 for right now. Okay. So remember, practice it slow. Do not start to speed up the tempo until you actually have it clean. Play with this video over and over and over to ensure that you have all your strokes right. All right. Not bad. All right, so for this next part, we're not going to really need our sticks for this next part. We're going to go over how to read music. All right. Part of being a percussionist, being a musician, you got to know how to read music. All right. It's going to help you in the long run when you're getting more and more advanced, especially if you plan on playing in middle school, high school. You got to know how to read music. All right. So let's get started with this. Right now, you are looking at a measure. This is called a measure. All right. This is one measure. This is where we read our music notes, our beats, all right? The beats/notes go inside of this box, which is called the measure, all right? Next, you see 2 numbers stacked on top of each other. Those numbers are called the time signature. The time signature. The time signature tells you how many beats
you're allowed to put inside of the measure. You can't just put in any number of beats that you want. That's not how it works. You only can put in a certain amount of beats. The top number of the time signature tells you how many beats you are allowed to put into this measure. You cannot put in any more than that top number or any less. All right. Now, I know we have a bottom number. We'll talk about that in the next few lessons. Let's just concentrate on that top number right now. All right. Now, the top number right now happens to say 4, which means only 4 beats can fit in this measure. Not 5, not 3, not 6, not 2. 4 beats exactly. Okay. This last part up here, this is called the double bar line. This pretty much tells you when the music is done, when it's finished, when you can't keep playing. There's no more music after the double bar line. Now, there is a such thing as a single bar line. The single bar line means that's just the end of the measure, but not the end of the whole song. All right. The difference between a single bar line and double bar line, single means that's the end of the measure, but you will have another measure after that single bar line. A double bar line is, that's it. There's no more music after this. All right. So once again, the box that the beats go in is called the measure. The 2 numbers you see, those are called the time signature. Top number tells you how many beats you're allowed to put into the measure. And then the things at the end, double bar lines, tells you when to stop. All right. Here's a pretty cool way to think about it. Pretend that the measure is a castle. All right. You have your castle, and then you have the guards, the castle guards. The castle guard will tell you how many people is allowed into the castle, or who is allowed in the castle, who is not. All right. The castle guard would kind of be like the time signature. The time signature tells you how many beats are allowed in the measure. This guard tells us how many people are allowed to come into the castle. All right. And then think about the double bar line like a castle wall, the wall that goes around the castle. You cannot go past that wall. You cannot go through that wall. You cannot pass it. When you're playing music, when you get to the double bar line, that's it. No more music after that. No extra beats. All right. So we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the different types of beats or different types of notes that we can put into the measure. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about this one first. All right. What you are looking at right now is a quarter note. All right. A quarter note. A quarter note has a circle that's filled in with a line called a stem. All right. This quarter note is worth 1 beat. That will never change. Just like how a penny is worth 1 cent, a quarter note is worth 1 beat. Now, if you look at the bottom of this screen, you can see that yellow box, which is a measure. All right. And remember, you have your measure, you have the time signature. That time signature tells you how many beats are allowed to go in. Now, since a quarter note is worth 1 beat, and we're allowed to put in 4 beats into this measure because the top number says 4, that means we are allowed to put in 4 quarter notes. 4 quarter notes can fit inside of this measure. Why? Because 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4. All right. It's kind of like this. You have a dollar bill, right? Dollar bill. How many quarters can you put inside of a dollar bill? 4. All right. 4 quarters equals $1. 4 quarter notes can fit into 1 measure. All right. So back to the quarter note. We're going to go ahead and show you how to fill in the measure with the notes. All right. So check this out. Here is quarter note beat number 1, quarter note beat number 2, quarter note beat number 3, and quarter note beat number 4. As you see, we have no more space for any more quarter notes. Top number of the time signature says 4, which means we can only fit in 4. And if you notice, up here in the corner, we ran out of quarter notes. Why? Because you can only put in 4. All right? So, we're going to talk about how to play this measure. All right? Each quarter note gets a beat number. Goes in order, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, in the previous video, we talked about tempo. When we play this measure, right now, we're not going to play it on our pads. We're just going to click it with our sticks. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and play this measure. Let me demonstrate first. It goes like this. I'm going to say ready and go, and then I'm going to start. All right. Here it goes. Ready. Here it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. I only clicked 4 times. Why? Because there are only 4 quarter notes there. Why? Because you're only allowed to put in 4 beats, and 1 quarter note equals 4 beats. Once again, this is how this measure goes. It's ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, with my students, I like to use a Pokemon system to help them read notes a little better until they become a little older. For this music note, for the quarter note, I like to use the Pokemon Mew. All right. So if you see a quarter note, you could click and say Mew. So if I was to clap this whole measure using the Pokemon system, it will go like this. Mew, 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 Mew. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So that's quarter note. All right. Let's move on. There's another type of note, or this is not really a note. This is actually called a rest. This is called a quarter rest. A quarter rest. Now, if you look at this quarter rest, you see there's a 1 inside. That means that this is also worth 1 beat and 1 beat only. All right. Just like quarter note is worth 1 beat, quarter rest is also worth 1 beat. In a few seconds, we're going to talk about how quarter note and quarter rest are different. All right. So for quarter rest, 1 beat, which means 4 of them can fit into the measure. Because if we look at that measure down here, we still see the time signature. Top number still says 4, which means we can only put in 4. All right. So let's go ahead and put these quarter rests into the measure. Here's quarter rest beat number 1. Here's quarter rest beat number 2. Here's quarter rest beat number 3. And here's quarter rest beat number 4. All right. As you see, we ran out of quarter rest again. Why? Because you can only put in 4. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4. Now, just a little side note. Let's talk about the time signature real quick. Time signatures come in many, many different shapes and sizes. All right. You can have 4/4, you can have 3/4, you can have 5/4, you can have 6/8. Yes, the bottom number can change too. But once again, let's just concentrate on keeping the bottom number 4 for right now. All right. So if the time signature happened to say 3/4, that means we could only put in 3 beats. But like we said before, this is a 4, only 4 beats can fit in. All right. So back to this quarter rest. Here's how quarter rest and quarter notes are different. Quarter rest, a rest. When you have a rest in music, you still count the rest, but you just don't play on it. All right. Quarter note, you actually click and you say the number 1. But quarter rest, you still say the number, but you don't play the instrument. Or in this case, you don't click the sticks or hit the pad. So to play a quarter rest, I show my kids to go like this. 1 or rest. Okay. Now, if we were to play this whole measure, it would go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how I still counted, but I didn't click on anything. That's because on a rest, you literally rest. You don't play. You don't click. Nothing. You can still say the number. As a matter of fact, I would recommend that you still say the number. That way you don't skip beats or lose tempo. So once again, the measure would look like this and sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. For quarter notes, will go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And once again, quarter rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So, we're going to talk about one more type of note. All right? Now, right now, you're not just looking at one note. You're actually looking at a pair of notes. This is a pair of notes. And these are called eighth notes. Notice how I said notes, because it's not just one eighth note. It is a pair of eighth notes, or two eighth notes beamed together. Okay? A pair. Look at your feet right quick. Sometime you might be inside your house right now, so you probably won't have your shoes on, but you might have a pair of socks on. When someone has a pair of shoes, that means that they have two shoes. One shoe on the left foot, one shoe on the right foot, or one sock on the left foot, one sock on the right. Okay? When you go to get your shoes, you usually, most of the time, get them as a pair. Eighth notes, for right now, are going to be seen as a pair. Now, yes, there is a such thing as a single eighth note, but we'll talk about that in the next few videos also. All right? But this is a pair of eighth notes. All right? This is where things get a little tricky. This pair is worth one beat. Now, if you look at it, you see the two circles. You see one on the left, one on the right. Both of them together is worth one beat, which means if we were to have just one single eighth note, that means a single eighth note will only be worth half of a beat. But once again, that's a little bit more advanced. We'll talk about that later. All right. So as you see, this is worth one beat. All right. So once again, we look at our measure down here. The time signature is 4/4 again. Top number says 4, which means we can put in 4 beats. No more than 4, no less than 4. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. We're going to fill this measure up with eighth notes, all right? Or pairs of eighth notes. Here's pair number 1, beat number 1, all right? Here's beat number 2, next 2 pairs. Here's beat number 3, next 2 pairs, or next pair, not 2 pairs. And then here's beat number 4, the last pair. And as you see, once again, we ran out. Why? Because we already put in 4 pairs. 1 pair equals 1 beat. All right? So let's talk about how to play a pair of eighth notes. Here's how you will play a pair of eighth notes. Now listen very carefully to what I say. Okay? Since there are 2 notes right there, you're gonna hear 2 clicks. All right? Check it out. I'm gonna just do 1 pair. All right, of eighth notes. To play a pair of eighth notes, you click your sticks twice, and you're going to say 1 and. All right, listen again. 1 and. All right, I'm saying and on the second note. All right, so if I were to play 2 pairs of eighth notes or 4 eighth notes, it will sound like this: 1 and 2 and. All right, once again, 2 pairs, 1 and 2 and. Okay? So if I were to play this entire measure, all right, all 4 pairs, it would sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right? Now here's a little secret. If you look at the name of these notes, those are called eighth notes. All right? If you were to look at this full measure of eighth notes and you were to count each note separately or each circle separately, you'll see that 8 of them are in the measure. That's why they're called eighth notes. 8 of them can fit, or 4 pairs. Okay? 8 single eighth notes or 4 pairs of eighth notes. It's all the same. I have 3 brothers, so it's 4 of us total. If we were to all line our shoes up together, there would be 4 pairs, or if we were to count each single shoe individually, there would be 8 shoes there. All right? So those are eighth notes. Now, there is a Pokemon way for this one, too. For this one, I like to have the kids say Squirtle. All right? So if I were to play 1 pair of eighth notes using Pokemon, it would sound like this: Squirtle. But if I want to do this whole measure of eighth notes using Pokemon, I would say Squirtle how many times? 4, because there's 4 beats there. So it's going to sound and look like this: Squirtle, 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 Squirtle. In the numbers way, the main way: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right? So those are eighth notes. Those are eighth notes. So those are the 3 types of beats we're going to start off with for the rest of this lesson. Remember, quarter notes, worth 1 beat. 4 of them can fit. 4 quarter notes sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Or mu, 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 mu. All right? Then you have quarter rest. Also worth 1 beat, but you don't click on it. Quarter rest sounds like this. 1. 4 quarter rest sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? And last but not least, we talked about eighth notes. 1 pair of eighth notes equals 1 beat. All right? To play a pair of eighth notes, sounds like this. 1 and. If I were to play all 4 pairs of eighth notes, it goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right? In the Pokemon way for eighth notes, squirt, toe, squirt, toe, squirt, toe, squirt, toe. All right? So, in this next part, we're actually going to mix them up into a measure and start playing some rhythms. All right?
All right, so let's go ahead and take all of these notes and rest that we just talked about and put them together, all right, to make some music, to make some measures, all right? So I'm going to show you 3 examples. Each example is going to have 4 measures each, all right? Let's look at example number 1. Here's example number 1, all right? Now notice you have 4 measures. Measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, and then measure 4, all right? Now, if you look at the single bar lines that are located here, 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 and here, those tell you when the measure is over, all right? 4 beats can go into each measure. As you see, the time signature right here still says 4/4, all right? So when you count 4 beats in one measure and you're ready to go to the next measure, you don't say 5, you start over from 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. All right. So let's break down example number 1 to show you the steps to reading notes. All right. Measure number 1 is easy. As you can see, it just has 4 quarter notes. All right. So I'm going to click measure 1. It goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. We did that earlier, so that's simple. Let's go ahead and look at measure 2. Now, if you look at measure 2, it's slightly different. Beat 1 has a pair of eighth notes instead of a quarter note, like in measure 1. So remember, eighth notes are 1 and. So if we plug that into measure 2, here's what we have. 1 and 2, 3, 4. That's measure 2. Now, if you notice, when we said and, you saw a plus symbol. That is the music symbol for and. So when you write these rhythms out, you would write 1 for the first one right here. Then you will write the plus for the and. All right. 1 and 2, 3, 4. That's how you play measure 2. All right. Now measure 3 is slightly different. Beat 1 is different again. All right. Now we have a quarter rest on beat 1. So remember, quarter rest, we don't say anything. Well, we say the number, but we don't click or play anything. So measure 3 would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Once again, rest. Still say the number, just don't click on it. Now, if you look at how I have the numbers written for this one, for beat 1 under a rest, you see that that number has parentheses around it. Whenever you have a beat that is a rest that you don't play on, put its number in parentheses. When you see that that number is in parentheses, that means you say it only, but you don't play it. All right. Now look at measure 4. This puts all 3 of our notes and rests together. Now, measure 4 starts off with beat 1, which is a quarter note. Then beat 2 is a pair of eighth notes, 2 and. Not 1 and, because 1 was right here with beat 1 with that quarter note. So beat 3, another quarter note, that would be 3. And beat 4 is a rest in parentheses because you don't play on rest. So measure 4 would sound like this. 1, 2, and 3, 4. All right. So let's click the entire thing together, going from measure 1 all the way to the end of measure 4. Now, you don't put any pauses in between the measures. When you get to a single bar line, keep going. Start over from 1. Let me demonstrate. Here's how you play all 4 of these measures. Ready? Here it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay? So that's how you play the entire measure. All right? Now, let's switch to our drum pad real quick. Let's go ahead and actually play this. Now, when you play the measure, you don't want to use both hands at the same time. You want to start off with one stick. You always want to start off with the right stick unless the music tells you otherwise. Always start off with your right. Each beat is going to start on the right hand, unless they're quarter notes, then you can alternate those. All right? So measure 1, here's how it would sound when you play it on your pad. Here's measure 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple. Here's measure 2 playing it on the pad. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Remember, when you have eighth notes, you have to click or play twice. 1 and. Okay? Let's look at measure 3 and play it. Here's measure 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how I did not play on beat 1, but I still said it. And now measure 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. All right? I did not play on beat 4 because that's a rest. So, all of example 1, playing it on the pads. Play with me. 1, ready, from the top, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. All right? So, that was example 1. You're now playing some music notes that's written down. All right? Let's go ahead on to example 2. Here's example 2. All right? So, measure 1. You have 1, 2, and 3, 4. Simple. Measure 2. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay? Rest on beat 4. Measure 3. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Now, if you look at measure 4, we have 2 rests. All right? So measure 4 is going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Look out for those rests. Let's put all of example 2 together. Play with me if you understand. All right? And count out loud. All right? Remember, when you see a pair of eighth notes, say the number and at the end for the pair. All right? Here's all of example 2. Measures 1, 2, 3, and 4 back to back. 1, 2, ready, from the top. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Measure 2. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? So that's how you, that's another example of how you should be counting and playing notes that you see. All right? Let's do one more example. Example 3. All right? Now, measure 1 and 2 are super easy. Measure 1 starts off with 4 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Measure 2 is almost the same, but you rest on beat 1. All right? Now, measure 3, we see something for the first time. We see 2 pairs of eighth notes beside each other. So I'm going to go to measure 3 real quick. Measure 3 is going to go like this. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay? Beats 1 and 2 are both a pair of eighth notes. So 1 and 2 and. Then the next 2 quarter notes. 3, 4. All right? And then last but not least, measure 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Always count out loud. Now, if you want to whisper the number on the rest, that's even better. All right? So, let's do example 3 from the top. Together. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Okay? Not bad. So, those are 3 examples of pieces of music, measures, all right, back to back. So, once again, we talked about quarter note, worth 1 beat, quarter rest, worth 1 beat, don't play on it, and a pair of eighth notes, which is also worth 1 beat, you play twice, 1 and. All right? So, just a little bonus. Remember I told you about Pokemon? All right. You can also do this in Pokemon. Watch this. Remember, we said quarter note would be Mew. Quarter rest, we don't say anything. And a pair of eighth notes would be Squirtle. All right. Watch this. Ready? Here it goes. Mew, 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 Mew. Rest. Mew, Mew, Mew. Squirtle, Squirtle, Mew, Mew. Squirtle, Mew, Mew. Rest. All right. So that's it for this section. I have an announcement about some more sight reader. We'll talk about that in a while. All right. All right. So for this next and final part of this video for lesson 2, I'm going to teach you a very, very basic warm up. A lot of drumlines use this warm up to get their chops ready, to get their chops warmed up. All right. This warm up is called 8 on a hand. 8 on a hand. All right. Pretty simple name. It's literally 8 hits or 8 strokes on each hand. Okay. Now, when you do this, it's going to start in your right hand and you go to your left, right, left, back and forth. Now, when you do 8 on a hand, I don't want you to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. No, I don't want you to count that way. You need to be counting it like this using your ands. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just like that. Then you go back to your right and do it again non-stop until you stop or until I tell you to stop. All right. So that's how that goes. Now, when we're doing this, remember your form. Remember your mountaintops. Remember your tips not touching. Remember you're not resting on the pad. Make sure your wrists are flat. Thumbs are on the stick all the way. Your hand mouths are closed. Your shoulders are relaxed. Okay? And then when you stroke, get off the hot stove. Get off. Get off the hot stove. All right? Also, the stick that you're not playing with, keep it hovering. So if you're playing 8 on the hand with your right hand, notice how your left stick, my left stick, is still hovering, but not up in the air. When you switch to your left hand, same thing. Make sure your right stays hovering. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay? So you put all that together over and over, and that is your first warm-up called 8 on the hand. All right? So I'm going to count this off, and let's go ahead and play together. We want to take this slow for right now. We want to take it slow. All right? 1, 2, and ready. Here we go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and switch. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Switch. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Again, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Stop right here. Okay? Now, if you look at the music that I have posted right now, you notice that at the end of it, you see a double bar line with 2 dots. All right? That is called a repeat. That means you go back to the beginning and you do it again, over and over. Okay? So that's what a repeat looks like. All right? Let's do it again, one more time. All right? This is 8 on the hand. Wait for me to count in, and then we're going to start. Start on your right stick. 1, 2, ready, and play. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Switch. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Switch. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Switch. Make sure your wrists are flat and you don't have any T-Rex arms. And switch. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Again. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Switch. 1, 2. Get ready to stop. Ready. And stop here on your right. Okay. Cool. So that's all we're going to do for today. We're going to dig deeper into 8 on the hand and speed up the tempo at the beginning of lesson 3 video. Okay. That's going to drop in the next couple of days or weeks. All right. So that's it for lesson 2. We talked about quite a lot today. We talked about we reviewed what we did in lesson 1 with our form: mountains, wrist flat, thumbs on the sticks, no T-Rex arms, things like that. And then we talked about how to read music notes. We talked about quarter note, quarter rest, and eighth notes. All right. And then last but not least, we went over a basic warm-up. Now, make sure you play that warm-up on your paddle pillow as much as you can. Don't start fast. Start off slow like how we did. Make sure you're getting that form. Rebound stroke. All right? Making sure that form is right. You have to think about those things while you're playing at all times, while keeping the tempo. Remember what our main job is as drummers, is to keep the tempo. All right? Good job today. Stay in touch. Make sure you're still staying healthy. Make sure you're doing good at home. Stay on top of your schoolwork that your homeroom teachers give you. All right? Still got to get that education. So stay on top of all that schoolwork. All right? Good job today. I'll see you in the next video. Good luck. Love you all. And I'll see you next time.